Hello, welcome back to more work with algebraic expressions. This time we're going to look at factoring them. So in other words, breaking them down into different pieces. We're going to start with a numerical one, so all numbers, and then we'll look at it with algebraic expressions, so with variables thrown in. So the basic idea when we're factoring expressions is you got to find the GCF of the terms. And we're going to start with only two terms in all of our problems. So you find the GCF of each term. Then the GCF is going to get written in front of the parentheses. And then what remains from the terms goes in the parentheses. So essentially, you'll have the GCF times the first term leftovers plus or minus the second term leftovers. And we always keep it in this order. First term stays first, second term stays second. And the GCF is out in front. All right, so let's start with this first example, 20 plus 45. You're gonna say, I just wanna add them. I know. But let's look at something with just numbers first. So you're gonna prime factor. And maybe that's something you can add up here. Find the GCF of the terms. Prime factor. Your note sheet shows another way of listing factors, but when we get to the variable component, then it's much easier just to prime factor. So I'm going to say, let's just prime factor. So let's remember, make the factor tree. You might want to look up a list of prime numbers for yourself as well. So 20 plus 45. So we're going to prime factor the first term, 20. You can 2 and 10, 4 and 5, whatever. So you should end up with 2 times 2 times 5. And I had that written down there. 45. I picked 5 and 9. So 5 is prime, 9 is not. Breaks down to 3 and 3. 3 times 3 times 5. Now I look for what's common. And I circle that. What I circle becomes my GCF. Now if there's multiple things that I've circled, then I have to multiply it. But we're looking for what's common between the two rows of numbers. Well, the only thing that's common is a 5. So now that becomes my GCF. So there's my GCF. It's out in front. Then what's left of 20? 2 times 2 is 4. Got that from the leftovers, 2 times 2. And what's left of the 45? The 3 times 3. So you put it back together. And so we'd say it's 5 times the quantity, 4 plus 9. All right, now, where this becomes more useful is when you start throwing in variables. And you're going to get to a point where you do this so well, you don't actually sit here and write out all the prime factoring. You'll just do it. You'll look at the problem and say, oh, I know I need to pull out a 4 and I'm going to have x minus 12. And you'll be that fast because you're going to get that good at it. But right now, while we're starting, it might take a little longer and you're going to draw the factor trees and so forth. All right, now, I'm going to edit that slightly and just go 48. There we go. Okay, so I prime factor the numbers. Don't worry about the variables at this point. 4 prime factors to 2 and 2. But when I write it all out, I write out the whole term. 2 times 2 times x. 48. However you want to break it down. My brain jumped to 2 and 24. So I did 2 and 24. Then I broke down 24 is 2 and 12. 12 is 2 and 6. And 6 is 2 and 3. And then I wrote it all out. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Now, what's in common? 2 sets of 2s. So I got to multiply them together. In fact, I will even rewrite it as 2 times 2, which is 4. There's my GCF. GCF. What's left for my first term, 4x? Just my x. What's left from my second term of 48? 2 times 2 times 3, which is 12. And you notice it was a minus up here. It's now a minus right there. The sign doesn't change. Okay, last one. 6x plus 54y. Notice I got a variable in both terms, so when I later write it down, I got to take that into account. Prime factor 6, 2 times 3. Prime factor 54, I went with 6 and 9. 6 is 2 and 3, 3 is 3, or 9 is 3 and 3. I list it all out. 2 times 3 times x. For 54y, 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 times y. What's in common? A set of 2's and a set of 3's. So I multiply those together. 2 times 3 is 6. Notice down here at the bottom, here's my GCF. What's left of my 6x term, my first term? Just x. What's left of my 54y term? 3 times 3 times y. And so I clean that up and make that 9y. So it's really, you prime factor to find the GCF of the terms. Then you put the GCF out in front of the parentheses. Then whatever's left over from the first term goes first in parentheses. Keep the sign the same. Then whatever's left from the second term is what goes there. So I could say plus, should I put or minus up there for you? Okay. Whatever the sign is, that's what you use. And that's what you're going to practice on the note sheet worksheet. If you have any questions, let me know. Good luck.